You forgot the first rule of remakes, Jill. Don't fuck with the original.
Hey everybody, welcome to Don't F with the Original.
With Nicholas, I'm the gaming correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I am Dimitri, editor-in-chief of Idiomatic and movie critic. And today we're going to talk about The Thing. The new thing and the old thing. Ain't no thing.
Both things.
Yes. So we're reviewing John Carpenter's The Thing, which is a little bit odd because it's not really the original. The original is The Thing from Another World. But I couldn't make Nick watch this movie even if I tried.
It's very hard to find. I'm sorry.
I actually worked on the DVD for it. It's not good, and it only gained cult status as this sort of classic of science fiction because of John Carpenter's The Thing. Nobody really talked about The Thing from Another World until John Carpenter did The Thing, and everybody went crazy for The Thing.
So good thing we're not reviewing that one.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I don't want it.
You already reviewed it. It's crap. So let's move on.
Exactly. I don't want it. It's very different, though. I'll have to say. It has interesting ideas. But let's talk about The Thing. We're in a science station of some kind. I assume it's weather, but it's never actually specified.
Yeah.
I think it's weather because they have to shoot down the weather because they have a lot of guns.
I have guns and flamethrowers, which
doesn't
happen a lot in science stations in Antarctica these days.
Yeah, but they're studying weather and they gotta shoot down the frost giants that come because Thor broke the bridge.
I guess, yes.
So the opening to the ninth realm is open. But they find a dog that's running away from a Norwegian station that turns out to have been completely destroyed. The dog turns out to be an alien that infects people, swallows them, and then replicates them. Essentially contaminating them and turning them into itself. And then they're stuck in this sort of paranoid situation where they can't ask for help. They're all in this very isolated area and they don't know who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, and they all turn each other. And that's pretty much the front of the movie.
Yeah. It's an interesting story. I like the paranoia of it. Everybody, who's the thing, who's not, what's happening, and who can you trust. At one point, they try and make you think that McCready, the main character, played by Kurt Russell, is the thing. I didn't buy that really at that point. You're like, really, he's not going to be the thing. So I don't know why, movies try and make you believe that, the main character is all of a sudden, evil. I never buy that. But besides that specific character, it was pretty interesting trying to figure out what's happening, who's evil, who's crazy, what's going on.
I actually think it works the fact that they're trying to make you think it's going to be McCready because they only do it softly, very passive-aggressively almost. Because you follow McGrady, you have never any reason to believe he's going to be the bad guy except one red herring involving a piece of clothing at some point.
Yeah.
But what John Carpenter does is that he removes pieces of the narrative once in a while where, instead of following the hero as you normally would as he returns to the station, suddenly he disappears for a short time and then he's returning. It's like, what happened in that hole? And it's never a case of like, with the music going, don't, is it McGrady or anything. It's just, we're just removing this piece of information right there so that the characters who doubt him could possibly be right. And for me, that worked. I never believed that he would be the thing either, but it helped me understand why the other characters feel that he might be.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. Yeah, because not very, very brilliant characters. They always, find themselves, isolating themselves from the group at one point or another, which seems pretty dumb. But I guess that really adds to the suspense. You have to have it. It would not be a very interesting movie if they all stood in a room looking at each other for like 2 hours.
Yeah, and it works because they're all in panic mode, and it is actually part of the story that these characters are ill-equipped to deal with this sort of situation. They're not smart.
Yes, for scientists, they're not very smart.
I don't think scientists necessarily have that much social intelligence all the time. They may have it, they may not. You know what I mean?
I guess.
Just because you're good in physics or whatever the hell they're doing. Well, there has to be at least one biologist in the bunch, so maybe they're doing biological studies. I don't know.
Yeah. Just
because you're good at that doesn't mean you're good at, you're good at solving crime. CSI. And so that works for me. Especially look, if if you're a super nerd on top of that, like I have the image of the guy with the lab coat all day. Like if you're not smart enough to know how to ask a girl out, I don't expect you to know how to deal with an alien threat that can take any shape.
Go to hell.
And plus, they're not all scientists. A lot of them are just, maintenance guys. Well, McGrady is just a pilot. He is not at all a scientist.
Just the pilot.
Yes, just a pilot. I look down on pilots. What do you do? Like, I resent the fact that I have to applaud every time you do your job correctly. F you, pilots.
I think that's only in Quebec that people applaud, though.
No. I took a plane from Paris to Dublin. People applauded.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, people applauded, except one Parisian couple in the back that went like, well, that was a rough landing. That would never happen if the pilot was French. I was like, you didn't realize that there's a fair chance the pilot is French. He's flying from Paris. But anyway.
But yeah. Besides Kurt Russell, did not know any of the other actors. So that was probably why I was also thinking, okay, yeah, I can see why Kurt Russell being, he has a chance of being a thing, but he's not, because he's selling this movie.
Kurt Russell was still at the beginning of his action hero career, but he did have a name that he built for himself doing Disney movies as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, he was sort of the Zac Efron of his generation.
Wow. I don't see that, but okay.
True.
I just can't see Snake in the Disney movie for some reason.
Snake Plissken. Well, when he hooked up with John Carpenter to specifically do movies like Escape from New York, he was deliberately trying to shake off that Disney image. In fact, that was a deliberate choice of his.
I guess the beard and long hair kind of helped have him look, yeah, and the drinking they added too,
The man is clearly an alcoholic.
Yes.
Actually, let's talk about his character. I like the idea of his character. It goes into the idea that they're not that smart, because he sort of takes over as the hero, but he's not your typical action hero. He makes a lot of bad decisions. He ends up killing people he shouldn't.
Yes.
They make a point of that. And he's not a leader. He starts bossing people around because he doesn't make leader type choices. He's very every man for himself as a guy.
He bossed people around because he has a weapon.
Exactly. And I mean, even before that, he sort of takes initiative here and there, but there's nothing in him that goes like action hero leader, the sort of person you follow, which is why they all turn on him at some point.
Yeah.
And I like that idea, especially back then. You didn't see that in movies. The hero tends to shine a lot more, and here he's very flawed. He's not that great. His decisions are not that awesome.
Yeah, he does tell a bunch of people, you go by yourself over there and do this. You go, he isolates people where he shouldn't do that. He knows that.
Yeah. I like also there's one character who sort of concludes that it's best for everyone if they all die. Because again, this is one of the things we have to remember about the thing when we watch it, is that a lot of the things we're looking at when we watch it today is sort of like, I've seen that a dozen times before, but the dozen times before that you saw it, we're all copying John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, it would be sort of like blaming Star Wars for having yet another, starship fight.
Yeah.
That's what Star Wars does. It did it first, And so the Thing was the first one to introduce that character, that scientist character that goes like, you know what, screw everybody, including myself. It's better for the human race if we all die. And of course, it's become a staple of every one of those paranoia extraterrestrial movies. There's always a character that does that now, but this is the first movie that does it. And what's kind of nice is that when John Carpenter did it, he didn't judge him. Like, it's not a circumstance where the hero goes like, oh, what did you do? And then he punches him. It's like, we always have to believe in hope because we're Americans. It's really just a reaction like any other, and it's as valid as any other.
Yeah, like that's true. I didn't know it was the first one that did that, but yeah, it's been done over and over now, and yeah, it seems kind of cliche. But yeah, the way he does it, it's really subtle. Like, you think he's just insane. No, he's destroying everything, and we can't survive. We have to stop this. And you just think he's going insane. So does he have the thing? What's happening? So it's really well done. Like you said, it's the first time they did it, but not only was it the first time, it is really well done. It's not just oh, nobody must survive, and you just I'm reading exposition here right now.
Actually, his descent is actually kind of cool too. I love the scene where he gets isolated. Again, stupid move, but whatever.
Yeah.
And he's going like, "Hey, I'm okay now. I'm okay now." And there's a noose hanging back in his shack, just to accentuate to the viewers, like, "No, he's not. No, he's not."
Yeah, the special effects, kind of lame.
I actually like them. I think they still hold up. Actually,
No, they really look. I don't. If you look back then, I'm judging them for the time. I'm sure they were awesome, but now they look really lame. Even if you're not, I'm not considering CGI or anything, they could have done. It better could be done. But for the time, yeah, they were great. I just don't think they hold up that well.
I think it works. I mean, like, obviously it's limited. It is a 1983 movie.
Yeah.
When the faces start to distort, it's like, that clearly doesn't look like the actor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I can see that it is meant to be the actor, but it doesn't really look like him. But I like the way it's cut. It's not so much the advances in special effects, but the way Carpenter uses them. Because what the creature does is, for those who haven't seen the movie, is, it distorts the body and mouths start opening from nowhere and everything. But when the heads start to distort, he only starts filming it from the point where it's already pretty distorted. So the fact that it doesn't quite look like the actor, it's like, well, that's sort of part of the story. So it's easy to suspend disbelief,
Yeah.
But I like the design of the creatures. They're just so random and weird and tentacly.
Yeah, the designs were great. I think the creatures should have done more. I mean, they just, for the most part, there are a few exceptions, but for the most part, they just stand there and scream and try and look scary. And they're standing next to people with flamethrowers. I mean, they could, the thing, not very menacing, really.
I think when it's in metamorphosis mode, it's almost on pure instincts, and it's sort of just doing that thing, that process, and I think that's the problem. It's not particularly smart when it does that. It has some instinctive reaction of, like, creating a mouth to bite the crap out of stuff.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the extent of it. It has some tentacles, but it's clearly not a particularly intelligent being when it's in that mode.
Yeah, I guess, but that it could have been scary if it was actually actively trying to attack when it was like in crazy creature mode. If you're actually trying to attack people instead of just standing there and screaming, and making really alien-y noise. Well, you have 3 people around you with a flamethrower. What's going to happen? If it's actually trying to attack them, okay, you can have stuff happening. But it only happens maybe 2 or 3 times in the movie that it attacks somebody to defend itself, and those were scary parts.
Yeah, that's a good point. It does lead to an awful lot of scenes where the flamethrowers for no reason stop working.
Yeah.
Like, there's an awful lot of that going into. It's like worst flamethrowers ever.
Well, I know I haven't been around many flamethrowers, but
I'm just saying, it looks like it was supplied by the Canadian Army. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
It's like, because every time they need to use it, it's like click, 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 and then the thing can just do its special effects thing, and you can be like, oh wow, that's kind of cool and gross.
Yeah.
And I think it's a timing thing. I think the creature just did not have the mobility that it needed to be able to do cool stuff back then, and I think it's just a way to get around that.
Maybe extraterrestrials didn't have flamethrowers, so then it doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems to only work half the time, so I have a 50% chance if I just stand there.
Yes, exactly.
But the designs are awesome, and you gotta give props to, a design model that inspired an entire subsection of Japanese pornography.
Wow. I like their vision of Antarctica. How, the flamethrowers. I mean, as an astronomer, I've known a lot of people that have been to Antarctica to go and find meteorites. Mm-hmm. And I've sent them a few emails asking, any flamethrowers where you went. And no, surprisingly, no flamethrowers. The weather is kind of weird, where Antarctica is one of the driest places on Earth, and it's always snowing during the movie. Day and night doesn't work that way, because you're below the Antarctic Circle.
True.
So it's like, that's not Antarctica. It's just nitpicking, but I was, as soon as I saw day and night going, I was like, let's see how much I can nitpick about this not being Antarctica.
Well, the cold itself is also very inconsistent, because they often walk around without their hats on and without gloves on. Yeah. And it's like, no. Like, not in Antarctica. Because they did do the detail of having the rope for in case of snowstorms, which is true. And they're grabbing it like without gloves, and I'm like, no, because your skin would stay there.
Yeah, it would stick to the rope.
Yeah, that bugged me too.
And it's very windy because wind is accelerated by gravity over there.
Mhm.
It's one of the rare places on Earth that happens. So yeah, the little storm there. When you hear of a storm, it's because of very high velocity winds, close to hurricane speed, blowing snow from the ground and hitting places. It's nasty.
Yeah, that I will not blame on the movie though. That is something I feel that I would not want to see recreated accurately, because all you'd see every time they step out of the interior would be just like a white screen, and it would be really like, why am I watching this? Like, to a certain degree, I'd rather suspend disbelief and see what's going on.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I do want to talk about the ending.
Yeah.
I suspect most of you have seen the thing, so I'm not too worried, but just in case, if you haven't seen it and you're planning on seeing it, I certainly recommend it. Nick is sort of lukewarm about it. But you want to stop listening now, because we're going to spoil the ending.
Yeah.
I like the ending a lot. I liked it because it's a very bleak ending. Again, it's very John Carpenter, and it's sort of like they still cut out a really important part of the narrative so that you don't actually know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. If you want a positive ending, you can kind of see, oh no, okay, the thing is that it's fine, and you can see the two, okay.
Yeah, but they're gonna freeze to death anyway.
Yeah, but at least the human race is saved.
Right.
Whereas, if you're kind of more of a, sadistic kind of person, you're like, no, the thing is still alive, and they fucked up.
Yeah, it's
and they're gonna die for nothing.
And it works out well. And I sort of like that macho bravado between Childs and McGrady, where it's like, yeah, well, if one of us is a thing, the other's not going to be able to do much about it at this point. It's like, that's a good point. Give me your alcohol, It's very bleak, but it's very funny. Again, it's that sarcastic humor that I kind of like about the thing, where it is really making fun of it a little bit. There's a lot of humor in it about these reactions. My favorite set piece as well is when there's three people tied up and they're trying to figure out who amongst them might be the monster. And you're watching it as you go like, but that's a terrible idea, because if one of them is a monster, two of them are tied up. Like, that's a terrible idea. And the movie wants you to know that it's a terrible idea, and leads to one of the funniest scenes in the movie. You have this monster and the two other going like, don't tie me, oh my god, it's awesome. It's great. It's just so preposterous. And it's all of these little details that, for me, make the movie work even today, even though we've seen these ideas. They're not as executed with as much humor in the other movies. The other movies all sort of do the dour atmosphere and who can you trust, and one hero will rise from this. And this one is really kind of, it's very John Carpenter. John Carpenter likes to make fun of human nature that way, and he's a very sarcastic and very down on human beings, if you will. And he's presenting a bunch of people who are just not that smart, and that makes the movie better for me. Okay.
I can understand how it's a cult classic, but since many movies have been redone that are maybe scarier, you're going to say it's been done before, but yeah, because they're copying the movie itself. So that's not a fair comment, but, with everything that's been coming out, it's not going to be fresh and original to you, so,
Alright, but let's talk a little bit about The Thing. Remake, sort of. Well, here's the thing. They're trying to do both at the same time. They're trying to eat their cake and have it too. Or have their cake and eat it too?
Have your cake and eat it too, yes.
They're trying to have their cake and eat it too, because they're making a new movie called The Thing, not Prelude to The Thing, or The Thing Zero, or The Thing Part 2, just called The Thing. But they're claiming that they're going to follow their Norwegian station from John Carpenter's movie. So it's actually a prequel. And I think they're trying to do what Tron Legacy tried to do, where it sort of works if you come in cold, but it's also a sequel.
Although sequels, prequels, they can still also follow the rule of don't fuck with the original.
That's true.
Just, if you don't believe that, just go watch Highlander and then watch Highlander 2. And you will get, don't fuck with the original.
That is true. No, honestly, I think if they honestly were trying to make a sequel or a prequel, they wouldn't call it The Thing. Like, clearly they're trying to take over the franchise,
That's true. Some Norwegian scientists find a frozen vessel and a frozen body in ice. So they had an American specialist, somebody that's renowned in that field, to get the body out because they want to study it. And they find out the body is extraterrestrial. However, that body just breaks out of the ice, and then chaos ensues in that Antarctica station there because they can't get out, and that thing is running wild, killing everybody.
So how did you feel about this movie?
Did not like it.
No?
No. I came in that movie with one thing I knew. I knew the character, the thing itself. I knew how it acted from the original movie, John Carpenter's thing. And going in there, I had the expectation that, it's going to be kind of acting the same because it's the same creature. But it just completely did not act the same way. It became more of a monster out of the open killing people than it was like the original thing, which was like a thriller. Who's the thing? What's happening? For example, when they test in the original movie who's the thing and who's not, and they're using the flamethrower with the blood. I mean, the person that's the thing is tied up, and he knows his blood's gonna be tested, but until the last second, when they realize, okay, with the blood test that he's the thing, he just stays in human form, hidden and everything, and stays covert like that. Whereas in this movie, there's a helicopter that goes up, and the pilot says, "No, I'm gonna land it back," and all of a sudden the thing attacks for no reason.
Is it for no reason, or is it because he thinks he's busted? And he figures, well, I'm going to tempt my chance and take over the helicopter, and it didn't work out the way he wanted.
But was he busted, really? I mean, in the other movie, he was tied up. The guy was putting the hot piece of metal in. He was busted there, too, and he didn't do anything. He just waited and was like, oh, wow, he's the thing. And then he morphed and attacked.
Well, the difference, I think, though, is that he's much closer to his goal in this movie, because he's almost on his way out, which is what he wants. Whereas in the other movie, even if he reacts now, he's still stuck in the middle of the cold. He has nothing to gain, whereas with the other one, he has the helicopter to gain.
Yeah, but does he know how to pilot the helicopter? Because that plan didn't work at all. I mean, he just killed the pilot, and then what? I mean,
without going into spoilers, that's not quite what happens.
Yeah, I know. But it happens other times in the movie as well, where the person, there's no reason at all for the thing to show itself as its true form, and it just does because I need to kill those people, and it's really weird why it's not really what I was expecting. It just became like a monster killing human movie.
I really had a different feel to it because for most of the movie, it actually stays hidden quite a bit. It does go out of its way to get rid of the main character, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Yeah. She's the American scientist that they bring in because she's by far the smartest and the only one who really knows how to react to things. So when she starts suspecting that the thing is among them, then it goes out of its way trying to kill her. But for the others, it actually stays hidden a very long time until at the end, where, without going to spoilers, a fair amount of all hell breaks loose, and you get the feeling that the thing just went, you know what, F it.
I guess.
Because they do have a different way of finding what the thing is.
Yeah, didn't like that scene either.
I personally enjoy the fact that it's a different way, because if it had been the same way, it'd been like, what are the chances?
I know that's true. But, the new way, it seems like it wouldn't work. In the new test they have is that the thing can't replicate stuff that's not organic. Mm-hmm. So people who have fillings are not the thing. Mm-hmm. And I felt that was weird because the thing takes the shape of other people. So you're telling me it can't replicate like black spots on people's teeth to pretend it has fillings. I just felt that was off to me.
Right.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I have a very different take on what the thing is. I think its capacity to absorb and imitate other things is purely a biological reaction. I don't think it controls it. It's sort of like it just does it instinctively to survive, and it doesn't never really controls it. So,
okay.
So for me, it was sort of like, yeah, okay, because when it imitates something, it just imitates it purely. It doesn't really control, like it's not Mystique from the X-Men.
I saw it more as a Mystique thing, that, okay, so maybe you can't make those you can't make the fillings because they're made out of metal, but you can make organic fillings that look like metal, and it fools the test. So the test was really weak to me.
Yeah, no, I really saw it more as it's entirely biological. It's a smart being, but that power is not intellectual at all.
Okay.
Is the way, which is why it transforms so slowly. You'd figure it would hurry the F up, especially in the original. You'd figure it would hurry up a little. And I always explain it away as it being, well, it's just biological. It doesn't really control that.
I just think it takes time, Perfection takes time. It takes time to replicate something perfect. But I can see it your way, how the test would work. And yeah, being somebody that flosses, the test still kind of annoyed me.
But it's 1982. You got to remember.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess.
yeah, no, because Neds will care about that. But speaking of the date, what I kind of like about this movie is that it does do it differently. Because I liked it more than you did,
Yeah.
and it does it differently than the original. The original was sort of very nihilistic and anarchist in its approach, where it's like, here's a bunch of people who clearly, are not that smart.
Yeah,
And they're dealing with a situation where they need to be very smart. And so they keep making mistakes. One of the best moments in the movie is when the so-called hero, played by Kurt Russell, actually kills an innocent person. Goes,
Yeah.
like, that's the thing! Bang! Oh, it's not. This one has a different approach. The main character, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, she's very smart. She knows what's going on. She's very intelligent. The thing is, she's a woman. And it's 1982. And she's in the scientific field.
yeah,
She's not appreciated. So even though she has the smartest ideas, no one will listen to her by virtue of her being a woman. Like, her boss is so condescending to her because she's a woman.
I guess, yeah.
The movie starts with a joke that's a sexist joke to sort of like set you up with what the idea is for that prequel, is that here you have a situation where it could be any of us. And it really could be any of us. It's an alien. It doesn't have any sense of hierarchy, social structure, anything.
Yeah.
And so when we're in a state of paranoia, people still hold on to these views of like, well, it won't be her or it won't be him because, well, he's a scientist, he's smart, he's a man, he's smart, he's an American, he's just a Norwegian. All of those prejudices we still reason with them even though there's no reason to reason with them.
Okay.
And the movie explores that very well. Like, the only person that trusts her is Lars, because he realized quickly on, oh, she's the only one who knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust her. And he's at the lowest rank. So he doesn't have as much to get over to trust a woman.
I guess.
And all of that's pretty well done, I find.
Yeah. Although the setting in 1982, how they set it up, is just kind of weak.
How do you mean?
I mean, how do you know it's in 1982? Really?
Well, because the first movie was in 1982. And also there's a title card that says 1982.
Yeah, but, it didn't feel like, okay, she listens to a song from Men at Work, and, okay, now it's setting, it's 1982.
Well, with a Walkman. with the plastic headset.
But then that said, they go to Antarctica and like they wear like really modern thin clothing, and it's like, yeah, okay, no, that's not 1982 style right there.
I did notice the clothing did not feel very retro. That's true.
That's the thing. I mean, at the beginning, all of a sudden, you had the Walkman and the Man at Work. Okay, that's funny, and then it all goes like really modern, and you're like, yeah, no, okay, you're kind of missing the feel there.
I wouldn't say it's modern. Like, I don't think there's any clothes there that didn't exist in 1982, but they did kind of go with a fashion style that's kind of timeless. So we wear this today still. I have no doubt that they could have worn this in 1982.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that we don't wear today as well.
Yeah, I guess.
I will say that a lot of the characters feel a bit underdeveloped.
Yeah.
I mentioned this without real reproach, because I sort of want to acknowledge that a lot of people are complaining about that, and they're right.
Yeah.
The characters in the original film are more equally developed, so that you don't know who's the main character really.
Carpenter, I don't know, he had this great way of developing a character with only like 2 lines, and you knew exactly who the character was after 2 lines. It is very good. These characters here, I agree, they really feel empty.
True. Although I think it might have been intentional in defense of the movie. I think the idea was to focus only on Mary Elizabeth Winstead and let you experience the story from her point of view, as in let you experience the paranoia from her point of view. I think all the characters only define in relation to how much she trusts them.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's all about her relationship, so that if you find yourself in her situation, who would you trust? Because you only have access to the information she has, because she's new to the group on top of everything else.
Yeah. Well, that makes it easier for her. She doesn't have the bias of, I've known this guy for 20 years, he's my best friend, she's just in the group and she's new.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's one of the things, but also what it does is it helps you experience the exact same thing that she does, because she doesn't know anything that you don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it really banked on the jump scare a lot to be effective as a scary movie, and those jump scares were so predictable. I did not miss one beat in predicting, okay, jump scare now. I mean, and it's not like I was like, wait, okay, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare. No, I just, you just watch the movie and it's like, okay, here comes a jump scare. It was very bad at that.
Yeah, it's not as suspenseful. I think it's more almost of an adventure movie with a thing than really a flat out creepy horror movie like the original was.
Yeah.
Definitely. About the jump scares though, I wonder if they even had a choice, because we mentioned when we talked about our expectations for the movie that digital effects haven't quite reached the level of believability that practical effects back in 1982 had already managed to reach.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the filmmakers didn't realize that, if we're going to do this digital, and they should, we can't show the creature for more than a few seconds.
Yeah.
And so they can't do like the slow transformation with everybody going, what the hell? Which was super effective.
Yeah.
And they have to sort of just show you glimpses at a time, which leads to they have to go the jump scare way.
Yeah. I see that. I can see that.
So, having said that, the creature at the end where it's like it's done a half-assed job of assimilating someone, I guess would be the way to put it.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, I find. It looks completely ridiculous in a good way, where you're like, what is that?
I don't know, it just looked ridiculous to me.
For me, it totally worked, where it's like, what is that?
Why can't they just go practical is the question.
Probably too expensive.
I guess.
I've read a lot of critics that complain that you see too much of the thing, but in reality, when you look at it carefully, you see glimpses of it here and there throughout the movie, and then a lot of it near the end. But that's pretty much it.
In that sense, it didn't bother me that much, because you can't really see it as a prequel of what's happening. We know what the thing is. We know what it looks like. So, having the surprise spoiled.
Mm.
I mean, it's like in Jaws 2 when you see the shark immediately. You know what the shark looks like. You've seen it in the original Jaws, so there's no suspense in that. So I don't mind seeing the thing early on.
The climax, without getting into it too much, is a bit iffy for me.
Yeah, very iffy. I did not like that climax. I didn't buy it at all.
They went very large. They went high concept, and I feel that the Thing as a franchise is probably best served to keep things small and isolated.
Small, it's like claustrophobic. That's how you like it. You're stuck in that area with the Thing. You don't do what they do, basically.
They went full on sci-fi.
Yeah, and you have one guy that is the Thing that helps the main character destroy the spaceship. And you're like, why are you doing this? It makes no sense.
I actually have an explanation for that, though.
Okay.
The only way this works is if he wasn't the Thing. The only way this works is at the end she kills an innocent man.
I thought you heard the Thing scream when she was burning him, though.
I listened for it, and you hear something scream, but it could just be him.
I don't know.
Because it didn't transform, which it usually does.
I guess.
It could be either way. Like, they did it in a way where it's ambiguous enough.
Yeah.
But it works. It works if she actually killed an innocent man. It works in terms of the story as well.
It makes her a horrible person, though.
Well, it makes her a person that doesn't know who to trust. And
that's true. And of course, you have to have a happy ending that, hey, there's a Russian base 50 miles away. Let's head over there.
Well, I don't mind that.
It's funny that there's a Russian base 50 miles away. They never mentioned it in the Thing in 1982, though. That Russian station just feels added on, tacked on, just for the happy ending.
No, I think they're setting up the possibility of a sequel if they want to turn it into a franchise.
Yeah.
And also because we've already had the one movie where they freeze to death at the end, no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't really see the point of doing the exact same thing. It's a prequel. It shouldn't end the exact same way. That's lazy writing. I know. I think they were really stuck with it in a hard situation to try to subvert our expectations and not do the exact thing that links to the movie, and not do the exact same thing that we've seen in another movie before. That was one of the few options available.
And yet again, they still kind of do that, when they said the Thing is loose in the lab for the first time, they'll split up in groups of 3 and find it.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, some guy's walking with a flamethrower. I mean, seriously? Why did you get flamethrowers in... I did my research. In the Antarctica, flamethrowers are used to thaw frozen pipes.
Mm-hmm.
They're not weapons. They're tools. And for some reason, the guy is there with a flamethrower at the right time, at the right spot to burn the Thing, because they did in the original. I just find it weak. I mean, even in the original, you know, when they say Mac wants a flamethrower, the guy's his reaction's like, he wants what? You know, it's like completely, and all of a sudden that guy is just walking with a flamethrower just because, you know.
Well, look, you need to kill something. You have no weapons. The thing that shoots fire.
They had
It's not
guns.
bad.
They had guns.
Yeah, the guns aren't killing it though. They've tried shooting it.
Yeah, but I mean,
No, I don't really have a problem. They also have grenades for some reason, and that one
Yeah.
was kind of intriguing to me. Why do they have grenades?
I did research. There's no reason to have grenades in Antarctica. Flamethrowers, yeah, you melt the pipes, but I mean, it's a tool over there. You don't. I'm not sure they would have thought about immediately. Like, let's use what we're using to thaw our pipes to go and burn that thing. It seemed, you know, just tacked on. It's like, yeah, they had flamethrower in the first one. We need to have it in the second one.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of nitpicking going on here.
No.
I think it's just like, oh, it's feelings. It's either too much like the original, it's not enough like the original. It's sort of like at some point the details you're gonna have to. I feel when you're watching a movie like this that has such a beloved classic, we can't look at every element. Is it like the original? Oh, then it's too much like the original. Is it like the original? Oh, well, it's not enough like the original. Well, then the movie can't win.
They need to make up their mind. I mean, what they're trying to do, you know, trying to be like the original or not.
I find it's okay to have some elements in common and some elements different. I think that's more organic than everything different or everything the same.
But, you know, have a reason. I mean,
it's a question of plot mechanics as well.
Yeah.
You need to be able to beat it.
Yeah.
The original established that that's the only way to beat it.
That's the only way they had to beat it. It might not be the only way to beat it.
What are you going to have? Make that the Norwegians hold laser guns?
Well, they had grenades for They could have used other stuff, you know, like, I don't know. That would have been impressive that, you know, like they did the separate test with the fillings.
Yeah, but you didn't even like that.
I like the fact that they had a second test. I didn't like the test itself.
Okay.
So, sure, find a different original way of fighting that thing and not just flamethrowers. That would have been great. And yeah, again, they're in Antarctica, so it's hard to find. So that would be even better if you just wow me with a different way of, you know, beating that thing. That would have been great.
Yeah, that brings up a good point overall, though, is that's the thing with this movie. I think it's functional. I think I excuse a lot of the stuff that you're mentioning, like the flamethrower. It doesn't bother me because it's like, well, what else are they going to do? But you're right, it never wows us. I think if you watch it as a remake, though, it doesn't live up to the original because it's not trying to. It's trying to deliberately go in its own direction and do something different. And so if you're expecting the same kind of suspense, it's not there because they're not trying to do that.
Yeah.
If you're expecting the same kind of anti-government anarchist message in it, it ain't there. They're going a different route. But if you look at it as a prequel that's just trying to do its own thing with the same concept, though, I kind of like the message, the themes. I kind of like how they treated this whole idea of social conventions.
Yeah.
Is it a great movie? No, I think it falters at the end a bit, and it's uneven, but it's not going to violate your childhood. It's not that bad.
I do agree that they could have called it something else, or at least find a subtitle. That they could have, because just calling it The Thing, I can see why that pisses them off. If you're a super fan of The Thing and you don't like this movie and it's called The Thing, come on, find The Thing, you know, on ice.
The Thing Sub-Zero. There you go.
There you go. That's fine.
That's terrible. Or they could have just gone straight to the point and to let us know what they're doing and just like The Thing, but not the same thing.
Yeah. The Thing, the remake, that's a prequel. You know?